All right, lads, here we are again. It's another brilliant episode of Footballland. As you all know, we're creating a massive theme park to celebrate all the best moments in football ever, and some of the worst moments, in fact, mostly the worst moments in football ever. My name is Anthony Richardson. Mark, who are you?
My name's Mark Davison.
Right, and Ryan Baxter, who are you?
Yeah, I'm Ryan Baxter.
Great. And we're creating this massive theme park, but it's not just us, is it? We've had lots of help along the way from our patrons on Patreon. Now, people have been signing up to patreon.com/footballland or something like that. I mean, just Google it. I can't remember. And pledging to help us in our quest to build this massive theme park, even though we have got $1 billion, but that doesn't go very far in this day and age. In exchange for your pledge, you can pitch your own rides, ideas, theme tunes, jingles, you name it, to make Footballland the greatest football theme park in the entire world. So I thought, with episode 20, lads, let's have a listen to the best engagement we've had so far. What do you think?
That'd be nice.
That's a good idea. We've had some stunning engagement. You people out there, you're listening, you're getting your creative juices flowing. It's been beautiful, but we need to keep that up. So listen to this, and if you haven't contributed already, what's stopping you? Pull your finger out, give us some money and pledge.
Be stunning also.
All right, let's have a listen to the best bits.
Footballland, Footballland, Footballland.
Point 5 on the agenda. You've been sent a Footballland jingle from the public.
I've been sent a couple, actually. Let me play you the first one, which is from Angela Sims.
Is that finished?
Yeah, it's powerful, isn't it?
It came to quite an abrupt end. Is it a free trial and we've got to pay for the rest?
I quite like the way it builds and builds and then just buggers off.
And you said there's a second jingle?
Yes, they are called Bob and Giddy. I think you're going to like this one.
Son, tell them about Footballland.
Footballland is the one for me. Footballland is the one for me. Good for you and your baby. Yeah.
Footballland. I love it. I actually do.
I'm overwhelmed by that. I love it.
To me, there's all kinds of stories in that narrative. I mean, it plays out that, I imagine the father wanted a daughter, they haven't got on for ages, and the thing that has brought them together is us doing this park. I think we've saved that particular family, and you can hear that in the jingle, and it's wonderful to think that we've done that.
We have a sponsor for the Footballland car park. His name's Matt Whitworth.
Hi, Matt Whitworth.
Well, okay, I mean, that's not part of the Patreon. We don't say hi to him. We just say the naming rights of the car park, and we call the car park as he wants the car park to be called. The car park, just for your benefit, Mark, just for planning, is Matt Whitworth is the greatest Footballland fan in all the land, Carp Arc. So he's written Carp Arc. CARPARK.
The Matt Whitworth is the greatest Footballland fan in all the land, Carp Arc.
This is from someone called Matt Whitworth, who also sponsors the car park. Nigel de Jong's Clock Flume. Matt Whitworth says that Nigel de Jong's Clog Flume is like a log flume, but you ride a clog, and at the bottom of the flume, you smash into Xabi Alonso.
Amazing, yes. I actually think that's a great idea. That's referring to the 2010 World Cup final, isn't it? When de Jong did a tackle that was so high, Xabi Alonso had stud marks on his chest.
There's so much potential for water rides at Footballland, as you know, and the public love water rides, especially in a desert.
He wasn't punished for that in the 2010 World Cup, was he? The referee, he was our own Howard Webb, refereed that match. So maybe part of the Clog Flume has a life-size replica of Howard Webb, who's either just looking the other way, or you see the violence of the clog crashing into Xabi Alonso's chest, and the referee figure just said, play on.
Now, how are we smashing a clog into, I imagine it's a clog that lots of people sit in. Is it just a big paper ring with a picture of Xabi Alonso in?
No, I think it's got to be more violent than that.
Going with the Spanish theme, could he be a giant piñata? Could it be Xabi Alonso as a giant piñata, which when you smash through it, rains down Spanish sweets on the ride goers?
Yeah, it's water though, isn't it? So if we had like boiled sweets, they'd all dissolve.
Instead of water, how about this? Sweat.
Yeah, why not?
We could get every player around the world, after a game, to wring their sweaty shirt into a bucket. So if we have like a reservoir of players' sweat, it's more in keeping with the theme of Footballland.
Or spit. Footballers spit, don't they? So we could collect spit. Should the clog be filthy inside? De Jong was famously labelled one of the world's dirtiest players. In fact, L'Equipe magazine in France, that's French for equipment, in 2015 labelled him as the dirtiest player in the world.
How would you keep the clog filthy when it's in water? And is there a worry that people just think, oh, that's a really dirty clog, why am I going to sit in that?
Well, I don't know about you, but if I see a dirty clog, I definitely want to get involved. I think the World Cup final in 2010 would have been a whole lot more interesting if everyone had worn clogs.
Jason Mather has got in touch to say the Cristiano Ronaldo Hall of Mirrors. Instead of fun, warped mirrors like in a traditional carnival, Footballland offers the sort of experience Cristiano would prefer. Just an exhibit full of regular mirrors accented by flattering lighting with a hint of Axe body spray pumped through the ventilation system. So it's a hall of mirrors, but they're all normal mirrors.
Yeah, most people don't look like Cristiano Ronaldo, though, do they? So it's not going to quite be what he wants. I don't really know, but he is a beautiful man, isn't he? Is he?
Well, it depends on what era. If you look at his early days at Man United, he was full of zits, like spots, and very greasy hair. It feels like he's a man who's spent a lot of time putting lipstick on a pig. So maybe some of the mirrors reflect his early days at United, where so a visitor could look in the mirror and it digitally adds zits and greasy hair.
Yep.
And in another mirror, it works on your abs. And maybe in another mirror, you stare into it and Ronaldo's own bored wife and children stare back at you, like in his own Instagram photos.
Could we get a mirror that has a moth on his face, like in the Euro finals?
We could get plenty of moths. In fact, we could even get the actual moth. I don't know if it's still alive, or we could get the dead moth. I'm sure someone's got it in a museum somewhere, and just put a little robot in there and have that flying around the place. And if you're lucky, that can land on your face.
The Ronaldo aftershave, CR7, with the tagline "Smells like greatness." That's a key feature of his brand. I think we should pump that in through the ventilation system so that everyone smells like greatness.
We've been sent a jingle, Mark. A jingle from a member of the public who calls themselves
Yes.
Lizard Hands.
Lizard hands. Do you think he actually has lizard hands?
Lizards don't have hands.
Or is it Liz and then Ardhands is her surname?
Oh, yeah, Elizabeth Ardhands, yeah. Here it is. Have a listen. Let me know what you think. This could be a possible pick-me-up. Get into the park. We're having some fun.
Footballland. 2 words. Footballland. In the Qatar desert. Football. A land of football. For you. Goalkeepers. And me. Yellow card. Footballland. Strikers. Kickoff. Land. Midfielders. Of football. VAR. Pass it to me. And soccer, maybe. I'm open. Yeah. And football. Let's go to Footballland. 2 words. Go.
We've been engaged on the engagement front by patron Matthew Sullivan, and he's written to us saying, can I suggest a feature for Footballland? I think tickets to the theme park should be something small, portable, pocket-sized, perhaps Jack Grealish's shin pads.
Yeah.
And yes, I hadn't previously considered what tickets to the park would be like, but shin pads anyway is a good idea. It's in keeping with Footballland. Jack Grealish's shin pads are tiny things.
Yeah.
It's almost, just bits of paper he puts down his sock.
You could put them in your wallet and then get them out of your wallet on entry to the park, put them down your socks, and then you could lift your leg up to the scanner to get in through the turnstiles.
Like cocking your leg.
For height restrictions on rides, if you can't cock your leg high enough, you can't get on the ride.
Yeah.
So it has a dual function. We also have the youngest composer of a jingle ever. Her name is Tanya. She's aged 3, and she has produced this.
Footballland is the one for me. Footballland is the one. I love it. Oh, yes, so that.
There's the jingle. What did you think?
I mean, it is a blatant rip-off of the other jingle. I mean, she's clearly got technical skills. Her vocal projection is in good order. But Tanya, plagiarism is a thing. If you tried to do that in the professional world, you'd be hammered for intellectual property theft. So go away, think about what you've done, and come up with something original.
Also, I can't believe that a toddler is called Tanya. That's an adult's name.
Yeah, there's something seriously wrong going on in that household. I don't personally want to hear from them again.
Footballland is the one for me. Footballland is the one.
We have a new patron. Mr. James Knowles is asking for the inclusion of Vinnie Jones' Crazy Gang.
Right, so the Crazy Gang, Wimbledon in the 80s, 90s, John Fashanu, Laurie Sanchez.
Mick Harford, Dennis Wise.
Wise, yeah. Okay, so what does he want to do with them? We can't book them because they're all famous now.
They're all
That's
famous
the problem.
now, yeah. But they were famous back in the day for being really violent. I mean, Crazy Gang was a bit of a soft label to apply to thugs, basically. I mean, I don't know if you know this, but around Halloween, theme parks across the world tend to employ staff members to jump out on the punters and make them jump and scare them, basically, because it's Halloween. So the World Cup in Qatar will start in November, which is just after Halloween. So punters might be looking forward to that sort of Halloween-y type stunt. But with James Knowles' idea for the Vinnie Jones Crazy Gang, the twist is these people are not jumping out to scare you. They're actually attacking you. They are, to quote James Knowles, kicking you to pieces. Okay?
So we hire some thugs to go around the park beating the out of guests.
Basically, yes. Although we don't need to hire them because he's suggesting we randomly choose people as they come into the park. Randomly choose them to be, we tell them, you're a member of the Crazy Gang, you've got to kick the out of anyone you like.
Just anyone. So it could be like an old lady who's 73 who's just come in because her grandson loves football.
Why not? So, and if you're not into the whole kicking, then maybe you just stand in front of them and grab their testicles. I don't know. You'd struggle to do that with an old lady. Don't know. Do they grow testicles as they get older? Maybe they do. We've been engaged by a new patron, Harry Jackson, who's a West Ham fan.
Yep.
He wants to give us Lee Cattermole's Petting Zoo.
Right.
All it is a small area of Footballland where punters go in, they put their hands into blacked out boxes, fully blacked out boxes, can't see what's in them, and they have to judge whether what they're feeling is a cat or a mole. It's Lee Cattermole's Petting Zoo. That's all it is.
And cats and moles, they look different, I know, but I've never felt a mole.
Well,
I've never felt a mole, and I can imagine that when you can't see them or smell them, the fur actually is very similar to a cat. So how are we going to discern between a cat and a mole?
Well, is it? I don't know, but that's the game.
Yeah, that's the game.
That is the game you're entering into.
Yeah.
It might be easy. I don't know.
What about cats, though? In blacked out boxes, there's a chance. I mean, moles, they thrive in that environment.
They love
but
it.
Cats, they don't like enclosed
They hate
spaces. They will shout out in fear. How do we stop that? Because that will make the game a lot easier. We can hear them meow.
It's true. So what we do is we heavily sedate the cats, so they're just a pile of barely breathing fur. But to differentiate them from the mole, which I understand is quite a sedate creature, we inject them with the equivalent of mole speed. So they're going absolutely mental inside the box.
Uh-huh.
And that way the furriness is confused. It's like I don't know what's going on in there. Whatever that is, that's going mental.
I'm just having horrible imaginings of putting my finger in there and it goes straight up an animal's bum. How do we stop that?
Well, we put little pants on them, I think,
Okay.
to stop that happening, because that wouldn't be good if your finger goes up the bum.
What about Lee Cattermole? What's he up to in this?
Well, I think it would be a nice touch if one of the boxes had Lee Cattermole. I mean,
oh yeah,
the size of the box to get a cat or a mole, Lee's going to be a bit squashed.
Yeah.
If he's up for it, and I'm sure he would be because he's put his name to it, then one of the holes you put yourself into is Lee Cattermole's hole.
And how do we stop him screeching out in terror?
If your finger goes up his bum, he'll like that. So
right.
I don't think there's a danger. Or maybe he's got pants on as well.
Yeah, double pants, one on the bottom, one on the head, so he can't speak.
Yeah, because if you put your hand in and says I'm Lee Cattermole, it's no fun.
No.
So yeah, he's gagged with some pants. He's probably got a pair of pants on his nose because you wouldn't want your fingers going up there.
Yeah.
And he's got pants on his bum, so you can't go there.
Yeah, lovely. All right, well, thank you very much, Harry.
Thank you, Harry.
3
Yeah.
pants.
We've been sent a song, a 2-minute song. I mean, I think he was going for a jingle and it just got out of hand. So
Right.
This is 2 minutes of musical genius from someone in the Dordogne calling himself Crispin Quinne.
Crispin Quinne. Crispin Quinne from the Dordogne.
Chris Penguin.
Chris Penguin from the Dordogne. The Dordogne Crispin Pen.
Anyway, let's hear it.
Stuck in the desert with nothing to do. Come and see us, you know you want to. Rising up from out the sand. It's time to visit Footballland. Footballland, that's a mother bipping name. Footballland puts the other parts to shame. Footballland is our mammy jamming name. Football is our game. We've got restaurants, bars and Dordogne cars. If you're not far from Doha, come and say aloha. Ride and slide and so much more. You can even bang your sister-in-law. Performance enhancers, topless dancers, outrageous diving, drunk driving, stay up all night, have a food fight. Bad behaviour of every persuasion. Try your hand at tax evasion.
You can swing on Stiefel's pole, get shot out of Wagner's or Donald's or Joachim's love hole. Fun for all the family.
Footballland, that's a mother bipping name. Footballland puts the other folks to shame. Footballland is our mama jamming name. Football is our game. 1 word, 2 words, don't give it. The whole day air will be a total hit. Footballland, that's a mother bipping name. Footballland puts the other folks to shame. Footballland is our mammy jamming name. Football is our game.
Free parking.
This week's engagement is from someone calling themselves The Entertainer, and they've called this ride that they want discussed and voted on the Ride of the Entertainers. It's Newcastle themed, so it's 90s themed, great football. The gaffer always ends the ride with, I'd love it if we beat them, I'd love it. But you never do. You never win anything.
Okay, so a classic Newcastle piece of history there from the mid-90s. Let's expand this. So this is, I'm guessing it's a roller coaster with the face of Kevin Keegan.
Thomas the Keegan engine. Just to put it into context, this is when Newcastle were looking like they were going to win the league, and Ferguson played some brilliant mind games, got it under the skin of Kevin Keegan such that he totally lost it in a live TV interview, and he just stared down the lens and went, I lost a lot of respect for him when he said that. I'd love it if we beat them. I'd love it. And at that moment, Newcastle was shot. Kevin Keegan was in pieces.
Yeah, so it has to be a roller coaster with the face of Kevin Keegan, and it gets gradually quicker and more frenetic. So it's a brilliant roller coaster, loop the loops, ups and downs, but on a parallel track behind you is the Manchester United inevitability train.
Yes.
And that's trundling along, but at a constant speed.
Constant pace. It's gaining on you.
So you can't escape it because your track is going up and down, loop the loop, and that is taking time. And perhaps you're wearing a big Kevin Keegan wig that slows you down.
Yeah, it's not aerodynamic at all. So part of the problem is the amount of Kevin Keegan wigs that are being worn inside the vehicle, which is slowing you down. But yes, Manchester United just taking things slow and steady and just gaining on you. Tortoise in the hare type Aesop fable here. But the more it gains on you, even though you're hurtling along in the Thomas the Keegs engine, it's making you angry and paranoid.
Yeah, it would.
The world is
It would.
against you at this point. Yeah.
Obviously, it has to speed past you after you judder to a halt on the final turn, perhaps, maybe upside down on the final loop the loop.
Yeah, perfect.
And then it motors past you into some fireworks, perhaps, a lovely firework display that you can't see because you're upside down looking the wrong way.
You're left upside down, yeah, and you just have to sheepishly exit the rides. You just have to shuffle through the gift shop. You're not allowed to buy anything. You're not really allowed to be there, but just shuffle through and go sheepishly on your way. We've got 2 bits of engagement. The first is from someone called Richard Beecham. He writes, me and an old colleague once had an idea for the Grimsby Town water slide, which would represent the club's fall through the leagues in the mid-2000s. And you could have your picture taken at the bottom with a crying Alan Buckley. Alan Buckley, of course, managed Grimsby Town in that period 3 times. As far as I'm aware, he's back there now managing the under-17. So
keeps going back for more pain.
A crying Alan Buckley. I should imagine if he's been there that long, he's permanently in a state of horrible tears.
So Grimsby went from the Championship, it was then Division 1, down to the National League, then probably the Vauxhall Conference around that time between 2003 and 2010. So that is a really steep waterslide, Mark. Very steep.
Fall from grace. It's a bit similar to the Leeds United Big Dipper, isn't it? Should we lump these in the same area of Footballland, like a fall from grace zone?
Also, like just a steep drop for Leeds United, perhaps, where it's just a crash mat at the bottom, in the shape of Peter Ridsdale.
Yeah. The other piece of engagement that you've been following, Anthony, is from someone called Phil Lee. What's he
Phil
given us?
Lee, yeah. Phil Lee wants to introduce to us a Cup of Caribou. Also open, he says, to a Cup of Caribou.
Ooh.
We take the traditional fair ride teacups with their spinning vehicles, the obviously spinning teacups, you know, as they go round and round. Use that as a vehicle to improve the image of the League Cup.
Lovely.
I don't know how you do that, but he says it's not to do with cups at all. It's to do with placing a live caribou in each teacup. He wants to put a live moose in each teacup with each child as a sort of chaperone, but also as a sponsorship thing. A play on Carabao. It's a caribou. We're talking the Carabao Cup.
Caribou Cup, yes. They're quite big and dangerous, those creatures.
They are big and dangerous. They are, but we could remove all of the bits of them that are dangerous. He says this is the tactile nature you've got going on at Footballland. Giggs' chest hair garden. He says Lee Cattermole's Petting Zoo. One can pet the caribou. Secondly, and more importantly, he says, the caribou, and this is the real mechanics of this. You should listen to this, Mark. The caribou adds some more weight to get those teacups whipping around.
Of course,
and that's really crucial because teacups rides, when you're a child, they never go quickly enough.
Because you don't weigh anything,
If you've got a particularly large dad, you're laughing. I remember my friend at school had a very large father, and he went very quickly on those teacups, and I was always very jealous because my dad was a normal-sized man. And don't get me wrong, he could spin them, but not like a giant man. Not like a giant man. So, that's really good thinking, Phil Lee. Phil Lee also says, Carabao here is not really represented. It's more the caribous than the carabao. So he's suggesting installing water cannons around the teacups.
Yeah.
So imagine a big teapot in the middle of these teacups, and then you've got water cannons pouring into the teapot of carabao. So they spray carabao into the teapot, and then that flows through the spout into each teacup, thus, soaking the child.
So as a 4-year-old, you're going to be sloshing around with a live moose covered in fizzy energy drink. It's a child's delight, isn't it?
It's a child's delight. They love sugar. And also, there's a danger to this for them because you're not allowed to drink energy drinks until you're 16. These kids are going to be so excited to do that.
Did you know that the coupe, the glass that you're officially supposed to drink champagne from, the shape of that glass is modelled, allegedly, on Marie Antoinette's boob? So
lovely, yeah.
Is there something we can get into this ride where the teacups are shaped like something from a footballer?
Yeah, maybe Jan Molby, his peck, because I feel like he's the Marie Antoinette of the, mid-90s Premier League. And also, he had quite a bosom. So to have... And also, he's in the Hunger Games being eaten by other footballers at the other side of the park.
If we could ask the footballers to politely not eat his boobs, and then we can take them and put them with the moose and the kid.
We have a new patron, Michael White, and he has secured naming rights to our second car park. We have one car park called the Matt Whitworth I'm the Greatest Football Land in All the Land Carp Arc. And now we have a second car park, which we'll put next to the original car park, which is now sponsored by Michael White.
Great.
The Michael White car park, TBC, he hasn't told us exactly how he wants it to be named.
Needs a name, Michael, but thank you for that.
I thought just for equality, we could have a security guard at the front diverting cars into both car parks so one car park doesn't feel left out.
Yeah, we don't want car park favouritism. It would be awful if, say, Michael White's car park was full of brilliant cars and Matt Whitworth's just had the rubbish cars.
James Worley says, I don't know much about football, but I very much enjoyed former Tottenham defender Gary Mabbutt appearing on The Queen's Nose in 1995. The Queen's Nose was a children's TV show with a magic 50p piece where you rubbed the Queen's nose and magic things happened. That's all you need to know. Punters, he says, have to present a 50p piece, place it into the game machine's receptacle. So it's like, imagine like an arcade machine.
Yep.
You have to place it in operation-style gaps in Mabbutt's skull.
Yeah.
He was bashed in the face, wasn't he, by John Fashanu, and he like dislocated his eye socket or something.
Yeah, fractured his eye socket.
So he's saying you try and put a 50p piece in his eye,
right,
in this giant head of Gary Mabbutt. He says once you've got the 50p in Gary Mabbutt's eye, then you've got to rub the Queen's nose on the coin very hard, and if you do it just right, magic happens. But the magic in this case is you win tickets that come out of the machine, and you can exchange them for very cheap plastic goods at a counter.
Okay.
It's Operation, with Gary Mabbutt's deconstructed face after getting elbowed in the face by John Fashanu.
You're smashing coins into Gary Mabbutt's already fractured head.
Yeah, and then you got to, once you got your hand inside his skull, you've got to still rub the Queen's nose. The Queen's nose, can we make that football related? Maybe these 50p's have either the Queen of football is like Mia Hamm or Megan Rapinoe, her face on the 50p piece, or perhaps a footballer who has a giant nose.
Gareth Southgate?
Gareth Southgate, or Zlatan perhaps, yeah.
So let me just get this straight. It's not enough to just smash the 50p piece through the eye socket. You've got to then do more in order to qualify for some plastic tat at the counter.
That's right. I mean, you don't get a free lunch in this game, and thank you very much indeed, James, for making it tough, and it's not for the faint-hearted as well. You've got to really squidge let's get some slime in there. Let's get some red slime inside Gary Mabbutt's fake eye socket, and you've got to jam your 50p into his eye, and then magic occurs, much as it did on that fateful day between Wimbledon and Spurs. You've actually watched The Queen's Nose recently, haven't you?
Yes, I've rewatched The Queen's Nose. I mean, it was an iconic piece of television in the mid-90s.
Yeah.
And Gary Mabbutt appears in the last episode. So it's a fantasy drama, really, centering on the misadventures of Harmony and a magic 50p that, as you've said, grants wishes. And in the final episode, Harmony and a close friend face a crisis with their team 3-0 down at half-time in the final of a big match, staring down the barrel of defeat. She conjures up Gary Mabbutt using the magic coin, and the ex-England international plays himself. He turns up and he beats a team of kids. He scores 3 goals. The last is a Yeboah-esque equaliser, smashing it past the kids to make it 3-3. And then Tom scores the winner, 4-3. To say Gary Mabbutt had a bash at doing acting is to glorify what he delivered. He's not going to win any BAFTAs. Let's see if we can play a little dialogue extract. This is Gary Mabbutt doing acting.
Oh, sure. Look, listen, if Gary Mabbutt turned up here, I'll give you a £5.
Somebody taking my name in vain? You must be Harmony.
Yes, and Tom! And this is Tom.
Hello, Tom. Pleased to meet you. Not the talkative type, eh?
No.
But you're Gary Mabbutt.
And you're short of a £5. I'll take American Express.
OK, Tom, we're going to plan our tactics. Right, here's what we do.
Strong stuff.
Now, Nick Dunmore, last time, gave us the 3-word idea, downsize fits all, but then he left it at that, and we didn't hear from him again.
We were confused. We did not know what he was
We were very
talking
confused.
about.
However, he's explained to me in a message on Patreon that he had hit send too early, then he got caught up with real-life stuff for a week, but he's rectified that now. He says, combining English football's most famous nickname and the horrific yet exciting power of firing someone, it's downsize fits all, based on the VR firing simulator where you can sack an old man. Now, I've just got to tell you about this very quickly. Right, there's a VR company in LA who have made a simulator for prospective, clients whereby they can train their staff in how to fire someone.
Wow.
So you put on your goggles and immediately you're confronted with a 60-year-old man called Barry. Now, this man called Barry in the game has committed some sort of minor inappropriate action at this imaginary workplace.
He's been humping the filing cabinet.
And you've got to fire him. You have lots of different options to go through in your VR goggles. You can be lenient, you can be firm. It's like a choose your own adventure, but firing someone so dystopian. In one instance of it, he breaks down in tears and sobs on your desk.
Wow.
And then it's game over. Apparently, that's not a good way to go about it in HR. It's better to fire someone with them thinking that it's not a bad thing that they've lost their livelihood and at the age of 60, any hope of any future employment anywhere.
Leg kicking and singing into the night.
So based on that symptom of 2020, we have this idea from Nick Dunmore, aka Fisted Away on Twitter. He says, in this ride, you will have to tell a virtual 34-year-old Fitz Hall that his contract will not be renewed at the end of the season. And it's up to you to fire him. So you can play good HR cop or bad HR cop. But, says Nick, given his age, 34, and the fact that he played 5 games all season, none of the last 18, this is basically the end of his career.
Yeah.
He is not going to take it well. So the AI technology means we have modelled several responses based on your input. It's possible to help him see the positives in this, or just make him cry and beg for a backroom position, maybe as a scout. Also, Nick says, we've put in a special unlockable achievement where if you sack him in the most demeaning way possible, you can physically downsize him, shrinking Fitz Hall to 1 foot tall. Fun size Fitz Hall.
Very good.
So that's the idea.
Yeah.
And I know we've got a lot of VR at the moment, but I think this is one where the VR technology can really play to our advantage. We need to get Fitz Hall to, give us his best acting skills in a mocap studio, good voice acting, and then we can map Fitz Hall into this world and just keep firing him. The only trouble with that, though, Mark, is we'd have to get him to relive that difficult conversation he had about 5 years ago when his career ended.
Well, that's probably good for his performance, and get him to channel that moment when he was told, you're useless, you're costing us money, get out and don't darken our door again. He might well burst into tears all over again, so that's a good thing. I wouldn't worry about that.
Yeah, no, I'm all in favour of that. So let's have a vote on the new and improved downsized Fitz Hall. Say aye. 3, 2, 1. Aye. Congratulations.
Well done, Nick.
Let me take your hand. I want to take you to football land. It's built in the sand. And